All right, so it is live. Welcome, beautiful people, to another Friday night interview. Body odor, PATM, TMAU, whatever. In this particular interview, I have a guest named Leo. What's going on, Leo?
Well, nothing much here, man. I just got out of work.
Oh, you just got out of work. What do you work as?
I I do fast food.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And I want to ask you, how old are you?
22.
You're 22. And how
Yeah,
long have you had this condition?
man. It's been like it's actually recent. It's been like about a year and a half.
A year and a half? Can you tell me like the first situation you remember where people made a comment on your odor problem? Or
Um, First when I first noticed it, it was actually me who was the person to notice it.
oh,
I
you
would be like if I were around other people, like I would mention like, bro, do I smell? Because I smell something,
right.
but they would go like, no, I don't smell nothing. So I was the first one to start noticing what.
So you could smell yourself
Yeah.
and you still can smell yourself.
Yeah, to a certain point. I mean, I don't think I smell what other people smell because my sense wasn't that good. My nose, I don't have a good sense of smell. But
Right.
I can still smell something.
Hmm.
you know
What is the smell like? Can you describe it?
it's sometimes I smell, I can smell gas or like um a fecal odor.
Hmm.
Yeah, it can get bad sometimes.
Right. And is your smell related to your diet?
No, at first I thought it was for a second, so I did some research, thinking like, oh, where could it be coming from? And then there were some things that I read about, in the gut. So then that's when I started, changing my diet a little bit, and I started getting some exercise. But I don't think it's that, you know. I don't think that helps so far.
Mm.
Yeah.
So well, let me ask you this, like what have you changed in your diet? What have you taken out? What have you added in?
I haven't really changed my diet, but the only things that I haven't been eating are, like the fast food, bad stuff. Because I would eat that on the daily before. But I cut
Right.
that out, and I'm just eating, homemade food that my mother makes.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
And still the same, you still get the same reactions or whatever?
yeah, it's still pretty much the same.
Hmm. Now, I do wanna ask you this. So, you told me your first experience was when you were around your friends and you smelled something, you're like, "What is that smell? What's that smell?" And then you finally realized it's you. Could your friends ever able to pick it up?
I mean, not that I know of, because every time I mentioned it to them, they seem like they didn't know. They didn't smell nothing.
Mhm.
But I don't know if they're just, not trying to be rude or something, or if they actually didn't. I don't know.
Well, have you ever, like, gotten close to them, and have they ever, like, backed away from you, or have they ever rubbed their nose or coughed around you when you got close to them?
Um, Not really. I mean, it's not something that I would really pay attention to. But they would never mention anything.
Well, has
So
anybody ever mentioned anything to you?
yeah, I mean now, yes. If I've seen people's reactions, people at work, they've mentioned things like they've complained about a bad smell. Like they're always talking about. They always mention like, what, bro? What is that smell? They would say out loud, but
Mhm.
me not knowing then really what it was, I wouldn't say nothing because I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
until
Mm,
just recently I just did some research, and then I ran into this TMAU thing, and most of the symptoms, they seem I seem to have pretty much all of them, and
right,
I wouldn't know where else a certain smell like this would be coming from, or why, but because my hygiene is good,
right.
I make sure I take care of myself.
Yeah, yeah. Just like with most of us, our hygiene is fine. Some people take 2 or 3 baths, and it's still, the smell still persists. So
Right.
it has nothing to do with hygiene. Something more to do with the gut, maybe the liver.
Yeah.
But since you feel like you do have TMAO, I do want to ask you this. I mean, you were telling me that your diet didn't really affect the intensity or the severity of the odor. But with TMAO, if you do consume a lot of choline or high amounts of choline, you do smell worse. But have you ever ate a lot of these so-called bad foods or foods that are going to make you smell worse, like eggs or like fish or like seafood or meats? Have you ever noticed if you ate any
I
of
mean,
those types of foods, have your odor got worse?
yeah. I mean, there are times when I do notice it when I eat like red meat or fish. You know, I
Right.
have noticed it like it get where I can smell it a little more. I can't really
Mm,
say how much it really, how bad it really is because I don't really know. I can only smell what I do, but it does get a little worse after I eat, red meats and you know, greasy food.
mhm. Have you ever tried to eat like a vegetarian diet or something like that?
Um. Well, yeah. At work, I always eat salads every day, pretty much. Veggie salads.
It doesn't do anything.
No.
Hmm. So you said you had it for at least 2 years. That means you got it when you were 20. Can you recall anything before this happened that you thought like possibly messed up your body or done something that shook up your body in some way, like maybe taking a lot of antibiotics, maybe, I don't know, getting food poisoning or something of that nature? Can you recall anything strange that happened before you had this?
Actually, no. Uh, I have no idea what would have, caused this to react. I don't know.
Mm,
It just happened out of
hmm,
nowhere, pretty much. Like I don't know
right.
what caused it.
And the day that you started to recognize the smell, you started to notice the smell. Um, like, what were you doing at the moment? Were you in school? Were at work? Were you like, what was your situation at the moment?
I mean, pretty much, I wasn't going to school at the time. I was just, working 8 hours a day every day, just work, and pretty much that's it.
Were you stressed out, like mentally? Was there any like differences in your mental? I don't want to say mental strength. Your mental health. Like, do you feel like at that age were you stressed out or something depressed or anything?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say. Well, it was. I always did grow up under pretty bad situations and circumstances that I lived in.
Hmm.
And I was always put under a lot of stress growing up, but um, I'm not sure that would have triggered it.
Hmm.
You think that triggers that would be a trigger?
I feel like
Like
I have a lot of theories about it. I feel like I feel like something has to do with it. Could possibly have to do with your environment, like uh, s- like there's certain places where the water that you're drinking has like lead pipes, and a lot of these lead pipes are like rusted, you know. So maybe we're possibly drinking polluted water or eating polluted food and we have no idea about it. Also, I think like when you have an enormous amount of stress in your life, it does reduce your immune system, and that's bad for your body. It makes you more susceptible to like illnesses. So that's a possibility.
Um,
Um, and you know, I've heard of like just random like stories about bacteria and how bacteria can like these like very obscure bacteria that can affect you. Like, have you ever heard of like flesh eating bacteria?
flesh
Where I
eating.
remember hearing like a story about there was this young lady who just jumped into a pool, you know, like on some type of summer vacation or whatever. And this not it wasn't a pool, it was like some lake, and it was filled with this rare flesh-eating bacteria to the point that after she got out of the lake, she got it severely sick, and her leg was slowly starting to be eaten away. And I started to think to myself, like, maybe
Um,
there are certain bacteria that are in our that are in our environment that maybe we get in contact with that does something to our system or something like that. I don't know. You know, I have so
mm,
many theories about it, but
yeah, that
I
was.
can't do that.
I mean, pretty much all a lot of the food, nowadays are always like full of pesticides and chemicals and stuff. I mean, even the things you would think is fresh and natural always has something added to them, right? And we're
Right.
we're not even aware, and that
Yeah,
messes with our bodies.
they definitely add a lot of preservatives just to keep things fresh, but at the expense of what? Like, what could that really do to our bodies when we constantly eat these things that, you know, people
Mm,
spray pesticides on in order to preserve them or keep them away from bugs or whatever?
um,
Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. But I do want to ask you this. So you were saying that you started to research TMAU. When did you start to look into TMAU?
um, just recently, like I'm still new to this. I don't really know much about it, but the first time I ran into it was like I say about 2 months ago. It was when
Oh,
I
2 months.
barely found out what it could be, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, TMAU is just something that a lot of the symptoms I talk about. I've seen videos of people who have this, and they pretty much talk about the same thing that I'm going to. I can relate to them. So that's
Right.
why I'm like, oh shoot, I can really actually have this, you know. And I've
Mm.
never even heard of it before or ever met anybody who has this.
Yeah, yeah. It is pretty rare. I think it's like 1 in 10,000 people have it, so it is rare. Um,
Yeah, and
but
it
I
seems like
wanted to ask
there's
you.
and it
Okay.
seems like there's not that much research on it either, right? Like
Right.
it's
Right.
crazy.
There's not that much research and there's not too many like testing facilities where you can go to confirm if you have it. Even now, like the common way to test for TMAO is like a urine test, but even that is like faulty test. There's a lot of people who have TMAO but still get a negative test for it, even if they do the urine test.
Yeah.
So it's the funny thing is like the first I believe like the first person who was documented to have TMAO was in the 70s. And now so that's technically like what, like 50 years ago, 50 or so years ago. And even now we still haven't had like a good enough amount of research, a good enough amount of like data to show, okay, this is what you can eat, this is what you cannot eat, or just a good test that can give you like a 99% accuracy that you do have it or you don't have it. So it's
Mm.
crazy, you know.
Yeah, it has a lot of us, actually starting to believe that it can actually be in our heads. For a cool moment, I was starting to think like, bro, am I just going crazy or something? Like
Right.
what's going on?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like because I the first time I had it, not yeah, first couple of years when I had this, I'm like this shit doesn't make any fucking sense. I can't smell anything. but people keep saying I smell like shit, or people keep making comments like, "Oh, he stinks" or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I must be losing my mind or whatever. And I would constantly like sniff myself, go in the bathroom and sniff myself just to see if I can smell any type of weird odor people are saying, and I
Yeah.
never could. So, naturally I would go to my parents or go to family members and say, "Hey, do I smell bad or whatever?" It's like, "No, you don't smell." So I'm assuming you might have a similar story like yours,
Yeah,
like
right.
going
And
to your
going to your loved ones too, you would also expect for them to actually tell you the truth, right? But most of the time they just don't feel comfortable saying anything like that to you, like, oh yeah, you actually stink, bro. Like, I don't think they would want to even feel comfortable even saying that to you, you know. So that's why for a cool moment I started to think it was just in my head, because the people I loved were telling me no, they don't smell nothing, and still to this day they still tell me like no, you know.
so you think they're lying to you?
No, I think they don't want to be, you know, seen mean, or, you know, put me down anymore. You get me?
Right.
The only
I
one that
think
actually has told me a couple times is one of my sisters, but she straight up, you know, she just mentioned it like, "Hey, bro, you smell like shit," you know.
mm,
So then, you know, she wouldn't lie to me. She's not gonna be lying to me and telling me stuff like that. So that's why I was like, "Oh, for real, I do," you know. And then, yeah,
all right, because that's actually very interesting because I know for a lot of people, their parents or their family members say they don't smell anything, but your
yeah,
sister said, "Oh yeah, you smell bad." So
yeah.
that's interesting. But with your friends still don't say anything. They say no, you smell fine.
Yeah, they just don't. I don't even think they care anyways, you know. But they never
Mm.
said anything, you know.
Now, I do want to ask you this too. So like maybe I don't know. I guess since you can smell it, do you feel like the intensity of the odor is not as strong? Like it's tolerable. Yeah, you might smell, but it's not going to drive people away.
No, actually, I mean, I personally think it smells pretty bad, and if I were to be in someone else's shoes, I would probably think like, oh, I wouldn't want to be around this person, you know. So
Mm,
I would think that that's what they're how they're feeling, you know, when their people are around me.
mm. I do want to ask you this too. Like, does anxiety play a factor in your odor? Do you feel like if you get stressed out more or you get anxious more, the odor becomes more apparent?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I've noticed that. Um, there's been a times where I've gotten like a little upset. Um, and then when I get upset, I get hot, you know, and then when I get hot, I start sweating, and then the odor intensifies. You get me?
Right.
Yeah. So I have noticed that. Yeah.
Hmm. Have you ever been to doctors? What and if you have, what have they said?
Yeah. I mean, when I went to go visit one of my doctors, I mentioned this to her, and she told me she didn't notice anything, and I was like, so what do you think? What do you think is the cause of this smell? You know, is it you think I just need to exercise more, sweat it out, you know, eat healthier, or what is it? Because I mean, I don't have a bad diet, like as in like bad food. You know, I eat pretty good, but I don't think it was the food that was causing me to smell bad or nothing. You know, so I was
All right,
just
so you don't feel like the food is causing you to smell bad, but you do feel that eating red meat makes you smell worse.
no, yeah. When I eat the red meat and, you know, heavy stuff like that, yeah, I smell worse.
Heavy stuff like protein, fiber, or just
No, as in
protein.
like meats, like red meat, fish. You know.
Mhm. Mm. So have you tried? Uh, so since you just only like looked into it for the last couple of months, um, what were you doing before that to try to like reduce the odor or try to reduce the, yeah, just to reduce the odor itself?
See, before I thought I just needed to like, I don't know, detox or something. You get me?
Mhm.
So I started trying like I bought some detox cleanses. Um, what is it? Juice cleanses. Um, what else? I've bought in some clay, bentonite clay, to try
Uh,
detoxify the skin, and I tried all kinds of things. Really?
I heard of that bentonite clay. Is like you mix bentonite clay with something else to make some type of PB shake, or you did you do something different?
No, it was actually like a clay bath,
Hmm.
to for the skin.
Oh,
So I just mixed it with water and other things.
and that didn't help either.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, yeah. Because another thing is, I don't know. For me, I feel like it does have to do with like some type of enzyme deficiency in our liver. Like our liver is not breaking food down properly, and this is why it's causing it to smell bad. Um,
Mm.
so like going back to the doctors a little bit, which type of doctor have you went to? How many different? Because I know there's like just a general practitioner, the gastroenterologist.
Yeah,
Have you ever
no,
been to like
she's.
other specialists?
I went to my general doctor, and then I also went to a dermatologist, thinking it was a skin condition or something too. So I would
Hmm.
ask her, do you think I have some sort of skin condition that would cause this, odor to be coming out of me like this? You know?
Right.
And she said, no, she didn't think that my skin had anything to do with the odor or nothing like that. She did, I don't know. It's because I also went to her for hyperhidrosis because I also have that.
Oh, me too.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I sweat crazy. Sweat way more than the average person.
Right.
Like so, like when I go to like I don't know, if I had to do running, let's say I ran for 10 minutes, I'm gonna for the average person they're not gonna sweat, but for me, my like chest is already gonna get sweaty, my back is gonna get sweaty, my stomach's gonna
Oh,
get
yeah.
sweaty, my face, you know.
I feel you, bro.
So that's very interesting that you have hyperhidrosis as well.
Yeah, man.
I
Every
do want
time
to
I.
ask you this.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
go
Go ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
No, I'm interviewing you. Go ahead. Do you?
Oh no, I was just gonna add in like also yeah, when I go work out too, bro. I know what you mean. Like my whole shirt is like so soaked up after the workout, and I see other people just so dry, barely even sweating. It's
Yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's so weird. And it sort of like, I'm not gonna lie, it is sort of embarrassing. It is sort of embarrassing because when you like, I don't know, maybe you just go out in the sun, you just walking around just for a couple of minutes just to go somewhere and you're just breaking out in sweat and you look like you just ran a mile and shit. Like it does make
Yeah,
you look
man. It gets
look
irritating,
crazy a
bro.
little bit. What happened?
It gets irritating. Having to go. You can barely even walk down the block until you start feeling some sweat already under your shirt. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that's annoying. That's
And
annoying. And I think it's only annoying because it's like you're not everybody else is just normal. Everybody because if everybody else sweat the same way, you're not gonna feel like an out. You're not gonna feel weird. You're just gonna feel like okay, this is just normal. But since you know that you sweat more than everybody else, you do feel weird. You do feel like odd and shit. But
yeah.
I find that interesting that you have hyperhidrosis because I noticed that there's a lot of other things that people I've interviewed where we have some type of commonality. And I do want to ask you this, if this is common for you or if this is true for you. Do you have any like lactose intolerance?
Um, Actually, no, I don't think so. That's when you can't, really consume dairy, right?
Right. Like you might get like digestive problems, you might get constipated, you might get diarrhea, you might get. just digestive problems if you consume too much dairy.
No, I don't, cause I drink milk often.
You drink milk often.
Yeah,
Have
like with
you
cereals, you know.
right, right. Have you noticed like different have you noticed if the odor got worse if you drink milk or you haven't seen anything like that?
Honestly, I can't really tell. I smell the same thing all the time.
Okay. Can you and since you say you can smell yourself, do you smell anything at the moment? Can you smell some type of odor coming off you at the moment?
Yeah, the same, pretty much the same smell. Just like a sort of a gas and I say poop smell. You know,
Mm,
a mixture.
right.
Kind of weird, but I don't know.
So you still work at a fast food restaurant. Like, do
I,
you get a hard time from your coworkers
actually,
because
I just started today. Today was my first
oh,
day.
word, you
I
just
went in for a couple hours.
oh, you just started today.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So what about like in when you were 20 or you were 21, did you work?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was working when I was from like 18, and then um I had recently just let go of my last job that I had. Like I say, 2 months ago,
Mm,
I let go of my job that I had because I didn't know what was going on. It was weird to be going out in public like that. It's
right.
socially devastating. I would say.
Yeah.
You know,
What
so
was your
I don't
last
know.
job or
I don't know what was going
yeah.
on. I don't know why it was happening. I had no answer to tell anybody as to why I would smell this bad. So I figured before, until I figure what this thing is out, until I figure out what this thing is and I have something to say, then I'm gonna go back to work, you know?
Hmm.
And
Well, let me ask you this, was your last job a fast food job as well?
yeah, it was. I worked at McDonald's.
And like I said, was like the coworkers, did the coworkers ever make a mention or comments about your odor when you were working at McDonald's previously?
Yeah, but not to me personally. They would just blurt it out. You get
Hmm.
me?
Do you feel like they ever thought it was you, or they just thought it was like something within the area that made it smell bad?
I'm sure they thought they knew it was me because when I would get close to them, I would notice. I would read their facial expressions, and I would notice that they would cringe a little bit as if something would smell bad every time I came around.
Right.
And you can tell by looking at people's facial expressions as to what they're thinking. You get me?
Yeah, yeah. And their body language.
Yeah, and the body language too.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man, because it seems like well, it could possibly more than likely it could possibly be like TMAU. Um, but my thing is, I think it's sort of strange that like whatever you eat doesn't necessarily change the odor. It is like consistently the same unless you eat red meat or meats. Then it's like worse, according to you. Um, have you ever? I think I already asked you that. Did I already ask you? Have you ever tried to become a vegetarian?
No, no, and I haven't. No, I just pretty much just cut back on you know outside food. You know,
You don't think that? Do you think that it might help you, or you just feel like it'd be too expensive to do? Or
um, I don't know actually. I mean, like I told you, I've tried um juice cleanses, which is pure just greens, vegetables, and I tried that for like 2 weeks, and that didn't help. Actually, I felt like it got worse. When I was doing that for
Mm.
promo. I don't. I feel like that didn't even help either. You get me?
Well, like, was it just real juice or was it like organic juice?
No,
I mean,
organic
organic.
beans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. That's interesting. You felt like it got worse. And I also find it interesting that you can detect your odor because most people cannot. Um, hmm. Now, but yeah, you said at 20 and now you're 22. But I guess like, after some moments, once you quit your job and you try to figure out what was going on, eventually you just said, I need to get a job, I need to make money, whatever. So you went back to get a job.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's hard out here. You need
Yeah.
money to survive, and shit. No matter how hard it can be to go out and around other people like this. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. You got a life to live.
Yeah. I'm curious, what is your goals? Do you have like a career goal or something you're looking forward to, something you're trying to achieve?
I mean, right now at the moment, I'm just working, man. You get me?
Hmm. Is working, hopefully getting like some type of promotion at your job, and then just try to climb up to as high as you can.
Right.
Mm, okay. Now, I do want to ask you, what are the typical things that you're eating?
Let me see. Well, I just eat like I eat a lot of potatoes. I eat beans. The typical Mexican food. You know.
Well, I don't know what that is.
No.
Uh,
Um. I eat a lot of chicken. Like my mom cooks a lot of chicken and just potatoes and eggs. But I just recently found out that eggs, you know, triggers it more, right?
right.
So I
Eggs
cut
supposed
back
to
on.
make you smell worse. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really in like a gut problem. You think?
It has to be. It has to be either a gut problem or a liver problem or something to do with the digestive tract, where when you eat something, it's not being broken down properly to the point that it emits from your body. Um, I do want to ask you this too. Do you smell it in your breath as well?
Yeah, I can tell. Like I try to. I'm always over here trying to figure out like where it's coming from, and I can sometimes smell it from my breath too. Like sometimes I feel like I get a taste on my tongue. Like I can taste it.
Mm.
It's weird.
Speaking of tongue, like, do you have a white coated tongue at all?
White coated tongue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not too white, but a little bit.
Just a little bit, because I have a white coated tongue, and I feel like I don't know. I should ask people more about that because I know I have a white coated tongue, and I feel like that's like a indicator that I still have it or I still smell, but I don't know if everybody else has the same situation. Apparently, you don't, or it's not as serious. Um, but that's interesting too. Yeah, I
I do
mean,
feel sometimes as if like my mouth is kind of like dry, tasting. I don't know if
mm,
that's how what you get to.
maybe early in the morning, but not all the time.
Mm.
I do also want to ask you because you were talking a little bit about like going to a doctor and asking if you should go exercise or whatever. Have you noticed a difference in the smell if you ever try to exercise? Do something that will like make you sweat more. Like let's say you ran and then you sweated more, then you took a bath. Do you feel like you got less reaction? People making comments about the odor, or you smelled the odor less since you could smell it?
Yeah, after like a cool workout and I sweat it out. After I come back home, After a shower, yeah, actually, I don't know if it's just because my nose is so clogged from when I was working out, or I just smell it a little less. You know?
Mm. Yeah, because for me, that's the same situation. I noticed that whenever I exercise, I start to sweat out whatever toxin that's built up, I get less reactions. Doesn't mean that I still don't smell bad to people, but I get less reactions. So that's another thing that we have in common.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, do you have any type of like health insurance? Because if you do, that means I mean, even if you didn't have health insurance, you still could take the TMAU test. Um,
No. Actually, yeah, I do. And I asked my doctor too, about the TMAU test, and that's when she told me she messaged me back and she mentioned that the tests unfortunately aren't so reliable, so that she wouldn't recommend it at the time. But all she did recommend was just a change of diet.
mhm. Wow, and that's funny. So your doctor was telling you that the test isn't even reliable enough for you to even try to take it?
No, she wouldn't recommend me taking it.
Oh, she wouldn't recommend you taking it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't know why that's so crazy because this makes me think to myself like, damn, not it's even notorious. It's notorious that the test is not even reliable to the
Yeah,
point that
man.
doctors say, yeah, you shouldn't even take it.
It's crazy.
Mm, damn, I don't know what to do. Like it just sounds like we're not even at the point where we can have just a strong test that determines if you have it or not. And I know even without insurance, it costs like $700 or something like that to take it, and it's just like it's not even worth it. In addition to that, like even if you do get some type of confirmation that you have TMAO, um, nothing really happens. You know what I mean? Like there's not
Yeah.
like get something out of it. I mean, I guess you get the confirmation that you have it, but there's nothing else that you get out of it, you know?
Yeah, you might feel a little better actually knowing that what's going on with you, but still, there's nothing much you can really do to help. It's crazy, you
Yeah.
know.
Now, I did want to ask you, so I know you were talking about uh how you took like some type of cleanses, you took juice cleanses. I think you said you took like colon cleanses as well. Is there
No,
any type oh what?
I didn't. I never did colon cleanses.
Oh, you never did a colon cleanse?
No,
Well, do you feel like there was any type of supplement or medication that you took that sorta helped a little bit?
no, no. I mean, nothing. Nothing has helped so far. Nothing I've tried has helped. Really, I never
Mm,
noticed any difference.
mm. Well, let me ask you this. Let me see if there's any type of questions in the chat because I think I've asked you all the questions I wanted to ask you. Because I did ask you about like your job or any type of goals or careers that you were aspiring to, but at the moment you're just trying to get a job. You're just trying to work right now.
Yeah.
Um, have you ever considered going to school? Is there any type of career aspirations you have?
Actually, I mean, to be honest, I was planning on going back to school to finish, actually, to get my GED, because that's one thing I did have planned for me to do after a while of working, to go to school, part time, get my GED.
Mm,
Yeah, but
okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, getting your GED is really important because like especially now and nowadays, having a GED, having something without a GED or not having a high school diploma, it's really hard to get a lot of things. There's just even a lot of like low skilled jobs that want you to have a high school diploma. So if you don't even have that, you couldn't even work a low skilled job like. Like it's going to be really difficult to find too many opportunities that's going to help you out, you know. So yeah, I definitely recommend that shit. And also like a trade school, trade some type of trade thing. Something where you need like certificate or you need a couple of years under your belt in order to even get into the job. I was thinking to myself like I work as a security BA attendant at a theater, and I was thinking to myself like, all right, if this shit don't work out, I'm probably gonna try to get into trucking and probably get a trucking
Trucking.
license or some shit.
Uh,
Yeah, because
okay.
that shit pays. It pays pretty good. I don't know,
So you work
but
security. So that means most of the time you're kind of alone, right? You're not really around other
no,
workers.
no, because I'm a security at a theater, so it's the
Oh,
theater where where there's plays and concerts, so people are always here and always around you. So
oh, okay.
it's definitely not the it's definitely not the case right now.
Oh, for sure.
Um, so it sucks because you have to be around so many people. But yeah, I mean, I think I asked you everything I wanted to ask you. I want to ask the chat if there's any questions you want to ask Leo about his situation or things. I don't know. Maybe you want to suggest to him. But I don't know. I think I asked you everything I do want to ask you. Now, I do want to ask you this. Let's say there's somebody who watches this, um, and they identify with everything you say that you're suffering from. Also, I actually forgot to ask you this. Where are you located? I was supposed to ask you that in the beginning of the interview.
Yeah, I'm located here in Los Angeles, Cali.
Okay. Because another
Yeah.
thing is, I noticed there's a lot of people in Angeles who have this condition. I know at
Really?
least like 3 people
Where?
in Los
Where?
Angeles, California, and you are like the third person that I've heard is from Los Angeles. And I heard there's a person from San Francisco, and that's probably the only other person I heard that's actually in California. So that's weird. Oh, I forgot to ask you this. Um, is it okay that I might share your email address? So if anybody wants to contact you, they can contact you at the email address that you gave me.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Cool. Let me drop that down so people can get a hold of you if they want to contact you.
Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you too, since you said you're a sufferer yourself, do you happen to have Facebook?
Yeah, I got a Facebook.
There's this group on Facebook called Mebo PATM or something like that, and it's a group of with a bunch of people that are just going through the same thing, and we all share ideas and all that. You know.
Yeah, I've been in that Facebook group for like since shit since possibly November of 2018. So yeah, I definitely know that. That's possibly the only group I go to. There's a lot of groups online uh that deal with body odor, whatever, like Cure Zone, like Rare Connect, like IBS support group. Um and I think the Meebo group that you just mentioned, I feel like it's the most active group. Um, so that's why I always go to that group too. But yeah, I'm aware of that group. I go on there almost every day. Almost every day. Here's his email. All right, cool. So I just sent your email out in the chat. So if anybody wants to contact you, they know where to contact you. Um, Now I do want to ask you this. So, like I was saying earlier, let's say there's somebody in your location or somebody that identifies with everything you're saying. Is there any final words or insight you want to give to that person who identifies with everything you were talking about, your life story, or not maybe not your life story, but how you got this and all the symptoms that you have? Is there any final thoughts you would like to give to that person or any words of wisdom possibly?
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I all I know is that I can say how I feel, which is hard. You know, it's a hard thing to deal with, and it can really mess with your head. You know,
Yeah.
people get depressed, stressed out, anxiety, all that stuff, and it can get hard for people. So, I mean, all we have to do, try to do, is just stay strong, keep our head up, and live our lives. Not worry so much about people's reactions, not pay attention to all the negativity that's coming towards us. It's something that we have no control over so far. So, you know, just yeah.
All right. And I do have two questions in the chat. And well, I think you already answered this. One was the first question is, can his parents smell him? And you said that they can't, they never said that they can smell you. And
Yeah, the only person I've actually asked out of my parents is my mom. I mentioned it to her, and she told me, she doesn't smell anything. She doesn't know what I'm talking about, And she mentioned, I could probably just be thinking about it. It's probably all in my head. She doesn't smell nothing.
mm, another question I got from the chat was, how many times have you visited the restroom? I guess make bowel movements or whatever.
How many? What do you mean?
I guess he meant like make bowel movements
How many times a
daily.
day do I,
Yeah,
use the restroom?
yeah.
Um, I mean, on the daily, usually about once or twice a day. You know.
Once or twice a day. And I do got another comment here. I don't know if she spelled it correctly, but I'm just gonna read it. I guess she says, "Has he tried Swedish bitters?"
Sweetest bitters. No, I've never heard of that. You know what sweetest bitters are?
Absolutely not. That's why I thought she spelled it wrong.
Sweetest
Um,
bitters.
I don't know. I don't know what that was supposed to mean. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you, Leo, for coming on and filling in the spot because somebody else was supposed to do this, but he had work on a Friday, so he wasn't able to make it. So I appreciate you for dropping by and filling in the spot. Um,
Yeah.
hopefully, in the future, there will be something better. There will be a better test, so everybody could take it, and we will know for a fact if we do or we don't have it. Um, but other than that, man, I appreciate the chat too for coming in and supporting this interview. And this is Friday night TMAU PATM Body Odor 19, and we are out of here.